Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to The Mixer, the segment on this channel where I give you guys all sorts of detailed analyses, on all different kinds of cultural tidbits, animals, nature, people, places, traveling, sports, athletes, that kind of thing. Speaking of sports and athletes, today this video is going to be exactly about that. This is my final sports related video for a while. It's going to be my last athlete player profile here, because at this point I'm pretty deep into my NBA 2K22 playlist. I think I might have one or two compilations left to go, so this is going to be my last one. The previous one was this one here about Giannis Antetokounmpo, in case you guys want to follow the chronological order there, so this is the last basketball related video that I'm going to be doing, so I have to finish off strong, talking about one of the greatest players, not just of my generation, but of all time, Kobe Bryant, okay? I have done this video before, but I'm going to be remaking it today and giving you guys much more detail, as much more as I can, Maybe it's gonna clock in over 25 minutes, close to half an hour, but it's okay because I love these athlete videos and I love Kobe Bryant especially, Today I'm wearing a black shirt, for two reasons. One is to do the proper remake and wear the same shirt that I was in the first video, but the reason that I wore it in that video and the reason that I'm wearing it in this one here is to symbolize that he is no longer with us, Kobe unfortunately died in a helicopter crash in 2020, but I'm actually going to be focusing a lot more on his career, his player legacy, and what he did in the sport, and not talk too much about his death, because that's just gonna bog the video down and it's gonna make it a lot longer than it actually should be, okay? So anyway, now, to those of you who don't know, Kobe Bryant is actually the son of former NBA player Joe Bryant, and he was born in Philadelphia, but largely raised in Italy, which is where he watched his dad play a lot of basketball and got into the sport when he was really young. He had been playing since maybe he was like 7 or 8. He was actually really young when he actually got into the sport, and he developed this love for it. This passionate craving to play the game constantly, and actually he went to high school in Lower Merion in Pennsylvania, and he played there, until 1996, which was a pivotal moment in his career because he became one of the few players to be drafted into the NBA straight from high school and the first guard to do so, and that happened in 1996. He was drafted. He was picked 13th overall in the first round by the Charlotte Hornets, but he was actually later traded to the NBA Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with me. And he began playing as a shooting guard, and he actually had a very illustrious career with the Lakers. He played there for 20 years, from 1996 to 2016. I'm not sure if he's the only player who has played 20 seasons, but I think that he's the one player who's played all that much for one team. Above him sits only the legendary Dirk Nowitzki, who played 21 seasons for the Dallas Mavericks. So Kobe is really up there with just a one-man club, one-man team. Although he did consider being traded a few times, but luckily he stayed, I'm pretty sure you guys know about his historic career with the Lakers, 5 NBA rings, 3 of which were, 3 of which were consecutive. He actually won a three-peat with his buddy Shaq from 2000 to 2002. They won 3 straight NBA titles, and eventually, of course, because of the rivalry that they started to have with each other, because Kobe was an insane workaholic. He trained for many hours to become even better than he was in the previous season, and Shaq unfortunately came back one day, off the preseason, a little overweight and not really taking it seriously, so that began the fall of their relationship there, so, but of course, eventually they would make up many years later, but he was eventually traded in 2004, and that's when Kobe started to become the cornerstone of the Lakers. He became the face of the league for many years, eventually going on to win 2 more rings. In 2009 and 2010, he won 2 more championships for the Lakers, and Kobe has put up some really impressive, accolades and records in his career, a lot of really good numbers, and won so many titles. But the thing that honestly most impresses me about him is his insane work ethic, his Mamba mentality, and the way that he could score points on a whim, And actually, Kobe was notoriously unpopular with his teammates for many years, not because he was good, mind you, but because he wouldn't pass anybody the ball, because he was an insane ball hog for a reason, because he trained so many hours, he put in so many hours of work on the court, off the court, he would show up hours early early to practice and stay there and practicing. He would stay after practice and keep practicing more and more, and all of his teammates would leave. His teammates would show up like, I don't know, 10 minutes before practice, then they would leave immediately afterwards, and he would just stay there by himself for hours, sometimes the entire day. And he did not feel the need to pass the ball to somebody who works so much less than him, you know. I can completely get behind that. I can understand that completely, you know. There was this thing where I think that Kobe had this work ethic where he would only leave the court after he nailed like 2,000 or 20,000 shots, you know, something like that, somewhere in the range of thousands or so, or tens of thousands. So, and aside from his many career records, he actually did something that I think is very, very impressive. In 2006 against the Toronto Raptors, he scored a record 81 points in the game, which is obviously his highest, his career high, you know. But it also is the second most amount of points scored by a player in an NBA game, after, of course, Will Chamberlain, you know, who scored 100 in 1962. So it's crazy that Kobe managed to do this in a modern era, you know, of the NBA. And of course, his final game in 2016, despite being a grizzled veteran, you know, already pushing 40, already into his 40s rather, he still managed to score 60 points against the Utah Jazz, I believe, you know, who were fighting to get a playoff seed, by the way. So it's not like they were letting him shoot or anything. So Kobe was just a crazy freaking workaholic all throughout his career. This was a hell of a long intro, so before I continue, I'm going to show you guys now a little clip here of Kobe in his early days.
Kobe Bryant. How did the kid do that? Bryant.
Kobe's giving the people what they came to see, that's for sure.
Oh man, if only we knew what was to come back then, huh? What this kid would turn into in the NBA. Now, Kobe was drafted, like I said before, in '96, you know, and despite starting off his career a little rocky and coming off on the bench from a few other players, you know, right off the bat, very early on, you could see these glaring similarities to Michael Jordan, you know. It's almost like whatever he did was really reminiscent of MJ. Like if you could close your eyes for a moment, you could actually imagine that this was Michael Jordan playing, you know. It's almost like he was the second coming of Jordan in a way. And this was recognized by Jordan himself, you know. He did see a lot of himself in Kobe when he started his career. And the thing is that Kobe was drafted when Michael Jordan was pretty much at the peak of his career and the Bulls dynasty was flourishing, you know. They were working on their second three-peat, and they actually did go up against each other a few times, and Kobe would ultimately go on to get the best of Jordan on the majority of times. You guys can go watch this video here by Nonstop Sports talking about this, you know, all of the times that they went up against each other, and surprisingly, Kobe got the best of Jordan in the majority of the times, you know. And the thing is that Kobe was very, very similar to Jordan because he did model a lot of his playing style after him, you know. Like if you ask Kobe, he would say that Jordan was his biggest inspiration, you know. And you can look at the very small details, like for example, the fadeaway jump shot, you know, the way the both of them would fly really high and attack the rim, you know. It seemed almost like Kobe was a carbon copy of Michael Jordan, you know. And of course, he kind of used that to transition into a modern game of the NBA, you know. So that's why Kobe was so unstoppable, you know. Now, he actually led the NBA in scoring in two different occasions, you know, in the 2005-06 and 06-07 seasons, you know. And I actually do believe that Kobe was, I don't know, because he had a few instances in his career where, you know, he would try to score as many points as possible, but then at one point, just to prove a point, you know, because he was garnering so much criticism for not passing the ball, he would give the ball to his teammates many times in a game and score very little points just so everybody could see that his teammates couldn't shoot. You know, like, my God, I forgot when this was, but I'm pretty sure it was like in the mid-2000s or so when he was trying to prove this point that his teammates just sucked, and he was the one who needed the ball, you know, because he would give his teammates passes and they would airball after airball after airball. They would miss every single shot. And when Shaq came around, you know, There was a moment where Kobe didn't even want to pass Shaq the ball because he noticed that Shaq would try to attack the rim and always get fouled or miss the shot, you know. So Kobe's like, nope, I'm not throwing that back in there. You know, Kobe was very, very hard to get along with in his early years, you know. But of course, as the years would go by and the Lakers would become more and more of a dominant force in the league, he would become much more of a mentor to his teammates, you know, and he broke a lot of records along the way. Now, when he won the 2 championships in 09 and 2010, he was also named the NBA Finals MVP on both occasions, you know, which was very well deserved. But the thing with Kobe is that, I mean, you could, because it was really hard to guard him for a number of different reasons, you know, but if you ever saw footage of Kobe playing or saw him live on TV or even in person on the court, you know, you could see that this guy was very, very fluid in his movements, you know. He would just pass right through defenders like they weren't even there. And it became very common, you know, for him to, you know, execute many posterizing plays and dunks, you know, and he was also a very good 3-point shooter, you know. Kobe was just as deadly inside the paint as outside of it, you know, and in his prime, it was impossible to guard him, you know. It's kind of like trying to guard Stephen Curry today, you know, when he's shooting his threes. It's really tough, and Kobe amassed so many wins and so many clutch moments for the Lakers, you know. As many other basketball players in their prime, Kobe performed insanely well in the clutch, you know, which in basketball is a term that means that, you know, a clutch moment in basketball is when you're starting to play really well when the time is running out, you know. Like, for example, the end of a quarter or even the end of a game, you know, the final minute, the final 30 seconds, all of a sudden you're stealing, you're blocking, you're putting up points and scoring 3-pointers, you know. Kobe was very, very effective in the clutch, you know, and really aggressive as well, because some of his dunks are insane, man. You know, the guy would just come up out of nowhere and just posterize on you, you know. It's not like Shaq who would completely break the rim and bring everything down, you know, but Kobe was still crazy, you know. There was this one play where the announcer even said, "Buckle up for Kobe," you know. That was one of my favorite plays that he's ever done. Now, of course, if you're arguing dunks, maybe Vince Carter could take the cake for that, you know, but I still think Kobe was in my opinion, he was much better because he was flashier, and he did win the dunk contest in 1997 to kind of prove that, you know. So, yeah, man. That's how it is, the Mamba mentality, you know. And he actually gave himself the nickname Black Mamba, you know, to kind of symbolize, because I don't really know why, but he did it in the mid-2000s and eventually became kind of like it became widely adopted by the general public. And I have a personal theory for that, you know, which is because the Black Mamba is a snake that attacks when you least expect it, you know. It's almost like a king cobra, but it's deadlier because it's just there, you know, minding its own business. Then it sees you and all of a sudden it just comes at you, man. It's like Bruce Lee, you know. It just, you don't even see it. When you see a Black Mamba, it's already too late. It's already grabbed onto you, you know. And that's what Kobe was on the court. He attacked like in the blink of an eye, you know. You saw him here, you're guarding him, all of a sudden, boom, boom, he does a little flip-flap and a dribble and boom, he scores the bucket. It's literally a Black Mamba on the court, you know. So that's my personal theory for why he gave himself this nickname. Now, before I continue and get into a little bit more of his stat lines, let's take a look at another clip of Kobe being the Black Mamba.
Confidence opens up the floor. The double team Gasol. Now the single coverage by Landry. Ariza drop down. Kobe. Oh! Up high, down hard. Kobe brought it. Paul the other way, slithering in the paint, knocked away, and a Laker foul. Hold on to your hats, folks. Here he comes.
Well, I guess that ankle is okay. Oh no, he didn't. Kobe Bean.
You gotta admit, man, you guys come for the clips. I know that you come to these videos for the clips, and I make these videos for the clips, man. I live to insert clips of athletes in these freaking videos here, you know? But anyway, so throughout his 20-year playing career, Kobe amassed a total of 33,643 points in total, which comes out to 25 points per game, which is absolutely freaking bonkers. And also, he grabbed 7,047 rebounds, you know, so pretty effective in the paint as well. That's 5.8 5.2 rebounds per game, by the way. And even though he wasn't that big of a team player, we can already agree on that, he still gave 6,306 assists to teammates across his career, which is about 4.7 assists per game, right? Not so bad. But what's even more impressive are his steals, you know. This guy was so in love with the ball and obsessed with it that he actually managed to steal it 1,944 times. That is freaking crazy, man. Don't know what the per game range is for that, you know, but still. And also, he wasn't exactly the tallest guy around, you know. I think he was about 6, what was Kobe's height? Does it say it here? Yes. He was 6'6" and also weighed 212 pounds, you know, but he still managed to grab 640 blocks in his career, you know, so yeah, not as dominant as LeBron, you know, but at least, you know, he was pretty okay. I'm still impressed that he got over 6K assists, man, you know. I'm pretty sure a lot of those were towards the end of his career when he became more of a team player, you know, but now on to the titles, right? Now, here's the thing. Kobe, like I said before, is a 5-time NBA champion, you know. The first was a 3-peat, you know, and then the other 2 came 2 years in a row, all right? And he also was a 2-time NBA Finals MVP in his latter 2 rings that he won with the Lakers. And everything here is with the Lakers because he played his whole career with them, right? He was also elected the NBA Most Valuable Player just once in 2008, okay, which I honestly think he deserved a lot more. I don't know why he got just one. He is an 18-time NBA All-Star, which is the second highest in NBA history. Above him is just, of course, LeBron James, right? Leave a link to that up here if you guys want to watch that video later. LeBron has now 19 All-NBA All-Star selections, you know, and Kobe is also a 4-time NBA All-Star MVP, okay? So yeah, in different years sporadically there, starting in 2002, and an 11-time All-NBA first team, okay, so also very impressive. He made the first team directly from 02 to 04 consecutively, then from 06 all the way to 2013, and a 2-time All-NBA second team, you know, that was in 2000 and 2001, right, just a few times as well. Also an All-NBA, a 2-time All-NBA third team, so he made every single possible team, you know, in 99 and 2005. Even more impressively, a 9-time All-NBA defensive team. That is freaking crazy, you know. All defensive first team. What did I say? Did I say that correctly? An all-time NBA all-defensive first team, okay? And also, you know, not as impressive, but still pretty okay. 3-time three-time NBA All-Defensive second team. God, man, I do these videos so much that I sometimes freaking forget what I have to say. I should have memorized all this stuff at this point, you know. Also, he is a 2-time NBA scoring champion, you know, like I said before, 06 and 07, right? And in 97, he was an NBA Slam Dunk Contest champion. And in the same year, he also managed to make the NBA All-Rookie first team. No, sorry, second team. All-Rookie second team. And of course, he made the NBA 75th anniversary team. No surprise there. And his numbers 8 and 24 were retired by the Lakers. Many years of his career, he played with the number 8 and then later the number 24. I'm pretty sure that's how it was. First, it was 8, then 24. He kind of swapped a few times, you know. But I think he played many more games with the number 24. I think he retired with the number 24. That was what he played in his final seasons there, you know. I always looked at Kobe as like the second coming of Jordan because of their shirt numbers, you know, because Jordan was number 23 and Kobe was number 24, you know. So it's almost like Jordan is the best and Kobe is the second best, you know. It's like he literally emulated Jordan in every way except for the number. Of course, LeBron took number 23, you know, a lot of people say that he can be compared to Jordan, but that's a whole different story. And that's it, guys. A few other things here as well, but they're not really as important, you know, they're actually kind of irrelevant. And also, with the national team where he had a pretty successful career, he actually won the FIBA Americas Championship in 2007 in Las Vegas, you know, he won one of that. And he is also a 2-time Olympic gold champion, Olympic champion. No, sorry. Let me rephrase that. He is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. I think that's how you say it, you know, because he won in 2008 in Beijing and in 2012 in London, you know. He was part of the Redeem team, you know, like the second coming of the Dream Team, you know. And Kobe went on to say that, you know, they could win against the Dream Team, but that wasn't a cool thing to say. That I talked about that in the Dream Team video that I did. Just gonna plug that there randomly out of nowhere, you know, so you guys can check out, look at that later. And that is it for the championships. And also now Kobe actually has a history with the national team, which I'm going to read for you guys here, you know. He declined to play in the Olympics in 2000 because he was getting married in the off season. He also didn't want to play in the 2002 FIBA World Championship, you know, even though he was originally selected in 2003 to be part of the roster, but he withdrew after knee surgeries, you know, so injuries. And he did not participate in the 2006 FIBA Championship because of knee injuries, but so his career officially began in 07, and like I said, he was a member of the team that actually actually went on to finish 10-0, you know, in the FIBA Americas Championship. You know, they won gold and qualified for the Olympics in 08, you know, this and that. And he started in all 10 of the games, you know, of the FIBA Americas Championship games, and he actually averaged in those games 15.3 points per game, right? So not too shabby. And also he gave 2.9 assists per game. That's very few assists because it is Kobe after all. And 2.0 rebounds per game. Can I just say two? Like 2 RPG rebounds per game makes a lot more sense. And he averaged 1.6 steals per game as well in that tournament. And, you know, like I said before, he won gold in the 08 Olympics, you know. That was his first time going to the Olympics and already won a gold medal. And he scored 20 points, which included 13 in the fourth quarter, you know, and he gave 6 assists. And they defeated Spain 118-107, and that's when they took home their medal. And that was actually the first gold medal in a worldwide competition for America since 2000, you know. And on that occasion, Kobe averaged 15 points per game, so pretty similar to what he did in the last competition. He grabbed 2.8 rebounds per game, also nearly the same as the other one, and also he gave 2.1 assists, you know. This next one is a little complicated to say, but he shot .462 from the field in 8 Olympic contests. I don't know what that means. It almost sounds like hockey now. But anyway, so he rejoined the team for the 2012 Olympics and they won the gold medal. And after that, he retired from the team. I don't know why. He could have easily played in 2016. No, never mind. He retired in 2016. Yeah, I can understand why. Because in the 2012-2013 season, he started to decline a bit because of injuries. So I guess I can understand why he retired. But he did lead the team with the record 26-0 across 3 tournaments and winning the gold medal each time. So Kobe was dominant both in the NBA and outside of it. So now let's take a look at Kobe doing something else here. Maybe I can get something from the national team, but if not, it's going to be him with the Lakers again.
Lakers looking for their 20th win of the year at home. Bryant attacking. All the way, dunks it home! Kobe down the middle with authority.
But Kobe's next to last possession when he took it to the rim and Josh Smith trying to make the block, very easily could have been an and one. That's taking it with authority.
Kobe, another 30-point game, and he got there with this.
Just think if he could palm the ball.
Now, many NBA players of the modern era consider Kobe Bryant to be the Michael Jordan of their generation, you know, and many people consider him to actually be the greatest point guard in history after Michael Jordan. You could argue, for example, Magic Johnson in that argument, but honestly, I personally prefer Kobe because even though I recognize that Jordan is the greatest of all time, Kobe is more of my generation. He's like LeBron James, you know, like like these guys represent my generation more closely, you know. LeBron even more so because LeBron started playing in 03 and Kobe, you know, was still in his prime at that time. But, you know, if you saw Kobe play since the 90s, you actually got a lot more of that contact there, you know. And he has arguably one of the most decorated careers in the NBA, you know, and I have a few things here that I want to share with you guys that I think is really cool that I could not memorize. I'm sorry, but it's way too much information, okay? I want to give you guys the most accurate stuff possible. So anyway, starting off with this right here, Kobe was actually he's the 4th leading scorer in league history with his points that I said earlier, and he was the first player in NBA history to have at least 30,000 career points and 6,000 career assists, you know, at the same time, and he was one of only 4 players with 25,000 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists, you know. So since then, LeBron has gone even further than that. You know, he's broke quite a few damn records, you know. And the thing is that Kobe managed to score 50 points 24 times in his career, which is 3rd in league history behind Michael Jordan, who did it 31 times, and Will Chamberlain, who did it 118 times, you know. And 6 times Kobe scored 60 points in a game, you know, or more. And of course, you know, the last one being his final game against the Jazz. And he was the 3rd player in NBA history to average 40 points in a calendar month, which he accomplished 4 different times, you know. And in general, he had career averages of he had career averages of 25 points per game, you know. That's across his entire 20-year stint, you know. And also he grabbed 5.2 rebounds per game, you know, throughout his entire career, the entire 20 seasons. And he gave 4.7 assists, which is really not a lot, you know. But for Kobe, because he was such a ball hawk for many years, you know, that actually makes sense. And he grabbed 1.4 steals per game, you know, and he was considered to be one of the most complete players in the NBA. He was the very first guard, you know, to play 20 seasons for one club, you know, so, you know, so many different records. And also, I want to correct something that I said earlier. I know I already corrected it in post, but I said that Kobe he was named an NBA All-Star 18 times, and that he was one shy from 19, which belonged to LeBron James. That wasn't true. It's actually Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with 19 All-Star selections, you know. It's because LeBron is tied with Kobe at 18, and he might win the 19 soon, so that's why I got confused. So I'm sorry for that, you know. All of you hardcore NBA fans probably like freaking did a facepalm when I said that, you know. But I corrected it, you know. I put the little text there, and now I'm correcting it here orally, okay? So yes, however, Kobe was chosen 18 consecutive times, and he was a starter for each of those times, you know. So yeah, and that's essentially it. There's actually more, you know, and like I said before, first guard to do this and that. And in his career, he actually managed to score 40 plus points in 121 games, and 21 times he recorded a triple-double. A triple-double in basketball is when you amass double digits in 3 of the 5 statistical categories. So you have points, assists, blocks, rebounds, and hold on, I got confused. Points, blocks, rebounds, assists, and if I'm not mistaken, the last one is damn it, what the hell was it? I forgot. Hold on, let me look it up, guys. Let me look it up, because this is BS. I completely forgot. Damn it. Blocks, points, rebounds, assists, and let's try to see if I can grab it here really quickly. Triple-double, triple-double. Okay, here we go. Triple-double in basketball. God, I can't. Okay, here we go. Okay, 4th triple-double. Maybe just a double-double. My God. I can't, man. I can't freaking do this. I have to do it. It's gonna make me itch if I don't freaking give you guys. Come on, damn it. Why isn't this thing loading? Here we go. Yes, finally. Okay, the 5 categories are points, rebounds, assists, steals, and block shots. There we go. So points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. God, man, I forgot about their blocks. So yes, Kobe managed a triple-double 21 times, you know. And you guys might be thinking, well, what about quadruple and quintuple doubles? Do those exist? Yes, but the only player who ever scored a quintuple double was Wilt Chamberlain in 1968, because Wilt Chamberlain was a freaking walking cheat code on the court, man. Jesus Christ, the guy could not do anything, you know. I mean, damn, Wilt was a freaking monster. But anyway, what else can I say? Right. Blah, blah, blah. So here it is, that being that's what it's about. But okay, so I'm going to cut just one more time here before I tell you guys a bit more. I'm going to cut just one more time and show you guys one final clip of Kobe here before I inevitably move to the final stretch. This is the longest player profile yet, man. It's going to be like over a half hour.
Lynn will dump it into Kobe Bryant. Bryant hasn't shot yet. Looks like he's going to do it right here. Slam! Dunk! Bryant as he goes baseline to score.
That shoulder down and goes by Matt, opens him up, and then little elevation by number 24 throws it down, saying, yeah, I still have a little bit of hops in me.
He did not play. Kobe did not play last year against the Clippers in any of the meetings.
Kobe Bryant really was just honestly the complete package of a player, man. Even though he wasn't really a team player, you know, that ultimately, in my opinion, didn't really tarnish his reputation at all. It did not affect his legacy, you know, because he would also relish in, you know, the negativity, you know. He really liked being booed by the opposing crowd, because then he would play his life out and shut them up, you know. He really liked to be the villain at some point, you know. The Lakers hero, but the villain for everybody else in the league, you know. And he had this insane work ethic, like I said before, which contributed largely to his longevity, you know, because Kobe was actually really good on offense and defense, but his work ethic really made him just a terrible player to guard, you know, because he established himself as a standout defensive player mostly because of his blocks and steals, you know. He very rarely drew charges, you know, when he played defense, and this is why he believed that his body was spared from so many injuries, you know. But of course, people do criticize him for it, you know, that his defensive accolades in his career were more because of his reputation, his actual playtime, you know. But the thing is that, you know, his body was very resilient for the first 16 seasons of his career, you know. But eventually, he had this really crazy high pain threshold where he would play through injuries no matter how bad they were, and that just made him a standout player. It made the guy freaking crazy, you know. He would go bananas, you know. Even though he would have visible injuries, he would just play through them like a champ, you know. He wouldn't care. He was a very fierce competitor. He made opponents and teammates alike the objects of his scorn. You know, he wouldn't get. I think that Kobe is the one player who probably didn't get along equally with his opponents and his teammates. You know, but of course, eventually, as the years went on, he would become much more of a mentor to his teammates. You know, especially after Shaq went, you know, to play for the Heat. You know, where he won another title as well. He did say that he wanted Shaq to get that ring because he wanted to push himself more. Like, okay, Shaq got one, so I'm gonna get another one. I do believe Kobe, after he won his fourth or fifth ring, he would go on to say that, you know, hey, I got one more than Shaq. You know, so that's the important thing. I'm going to leave a link to that interview, by the way, if you guys want to watch it. That is a really cool interview, you know. Just he said, I got one more than Shaq. You can take that to the bank. That was, Kobe was freaking savage, man. My God, it's like he embodied Larry Bird or something. But anyway, so a little bit more than that. A lot of players considered him hard to play with because of this, you know, his level of commitment and his performance. But that's just it, man. You know, it's like you're complaining about a player who's putting a lot more hours than you are. You know, if you put in the same amount of work that Kobe did, then maybe he'll pass you the ball and actually want to play with you. You know, just so many amazing moments. You know, there are a few other things here that I want to say. You know, is that. Okay, so here we go. Kobe's longtime head coach Phil Jackson, though, the big difference between his two coaching stints in the Lakers, you know, because Bryant in the early years would talk trash to his teammates and just demand the ball, you know, but later on he would embrace them and call them up when they were on the road and invite them to dinner and stuff, you know, and, you know, the players were now more like his partners and friends and not just personal spirit carriers. Now I'm going to just briefly talk about his death, you know. He was married to Vanessa Bryant for many years and they had two beautiful daughters, one of which unfortunately died with him in the helicopter crash in Calabasas, California in 2020, you know, because even sadder than Kobe dying was his daughter dying, man. His older daughter, who was already a promising NBA star, you know, she would have definitely been playing in the WNBA today, the WNBA today if it wasn't for that, you know. Kobe was her coach, he was training her, you know, going to all these summer camps. They were actually going back and forth between one of his camps, you know. They flew there from the destination earlier, I think the day before or even earlier that day, and nothing happened. But when they went back, you know, apparently, you know, the sky was getting cloudy, weather conditions weren't too good, you know, and the helicopter unfortunately crashed into a mountain, you know, into a ridge or something, into the side of it just crashed, okay, and everybody was killed on impact. I do believe 9 people died in that accident, you know, and they were all killed from blunt force trauma, so it was immediate, at least nobody suffered, you know, but it was still really sad, and it just gets crazy because the whole NBA world was just mourning Kobe, you know. A few crazy coincidences, you know, like certain players were, like a buddy of his all the way over in Japan was playing a game and he put up 24 points, you know, exactly, played for 24 minutes, something like that without knowing what happened, you know. Other players were intentionally fouling out or running out the shot clock in tribute to him, you know. I do believe the Lakers canceled their game that week because of Kobe. You know, they just wanted to preserve his image, and it was really sad, man. It was really freaking sad. Just can't take it, you know. It actually, Kobe Bryant's death is what made me get more into basketball and support the Lakers, you know. It's because of him that I am a Lakers fan, and it was kind of the turning point for me to get into basketball because of him. So very similar to how I became a fan of Michael Jackson after he died, you know. But yes, and there was this very creepy coincidence, you know, that happened, that Kobe left his final game in 2016 after scoring 60 points. He actually left, you know, at the very end of the game with 4.1 seconds left to go, and years later he would die at the age of 41. It's pretty crazy, man. I'm gonna leave a link, if there's enough room in this video at this point for that, I'm gonna leave a link up here to this video by Cosgrove, you know, talking about some really creepy coincidences in the NBA, and that's one of them. I love that channel so much. But anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap this up here. You know, this video is getting way too long already. You know, I don't want to talk about his death. I don't want to talk about that. It's gonna bog the video down and make it a lot longer. And I want to focus on his legacy, how it began, and not how it ended. Okay, he did release Dear Basketball, you know, which won an Academy Award, even though it's like 6 or 7 minutes long. You know, very beautiful and heartfelt. A poem about his relationship with the sport, how he fell in love with it as a kid. You know, and just brings tears to your eyes, man. It's really crazy. So many people mourning Kobe still to this day. There will never be another player like him. Even if somebody is better than him, they're never going to be like him, you know, embracing his work ethic and the Mamba mentality. God, man, I still can't believe he's gone. But anyway, guys, 35 minutes of recording time. I'm gonna end it here because this video is getting way too long. So yeah, hopefully you guys like it, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a like and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. And while you're at it, hit the notification bell to know exactly what time I upload. And that's it, guys. Long live the Black Mamba. And that's it for my videos regarding NBA. It's the final one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, came along with me on this journey because it was exhausting. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen.